What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sharp Cut from the Iron Edge. I'm Ken Novitsky, and today I want to talk about recharging your battery. So, since March, we've been putting out content consistently, whether it's an Iron Edge episode with a guest or Sharp Cut with myself and doing the solo shorter episodes, and we've been consistent about it. And at the beginning of everything, I batched a lot of content because of the fact that my son was about to be born in March, and I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of content. And then since then, we sort of changed the approach a little bit, especially with the Sharp Cut, where it's a lot more, what would the word be, like reflective pieces or things which are sort of going on in my life at that point in time and how I'm adapting to them or choosing to respond to them and all that sort of stuff. And if you noticed last week that we didn't have an episode, nothing went out. And I've been a little slower on socials with Iron Edge Reels and all that sort of stuff too, the last 2 weeks or so. Uh, and the reason for that is I needed to just sort of back off a little bit and recharge my battery. For a long time, I've always said more content, more content, more content. And I feel like I would be good at it. I would be good at putting stuff out. And then I would drop off slowly to the point where I wasn't putting anything out because I was either burnt out mentally or, just got to that point where I was like, well, this is just, I'm not enjoying it. And I think some of the reason for that previously was the fact that I would force it. I would force what I was putting out and force the content just to get something out. So last week I was like, you know what? Got a lot going on in life right now, a lot with the baby, a lot with, home life, busy there with different things. We've got vacation next week, or in 5 days technically. We're going to taking a trip to Spain for a couple of days or a week. So there's a lot going on. And I was like, instead of me sitting here and just forcing a piece of content onto a screen or onto the camera or whatever you want to call it, instead of forcing that and not really enjoying it, let me take a break for a week and I'll recharge my battery. I will come back invigorated and actually think about what's going on, and it was good, and I actually wanted to come and make this content today versus last week where I was like, fuck, how am I going to do this? What am I going to talk about? Because my mind was elsewhere. This actually gave me a chance to back off a little bit and just sort of center my thoughts a bit more and really just ask myself again, like, why are you doing this? What's the purpose of it? And all that sort of stuff. And I think this is one thing a lot of us miss. We get so stuck, and I said this, in episode 14, we get stuck in this daily rigmarole. And it's so real because, we forget why we are doing things that we are doing and we're enjoying. For me personally, I've said this before, but I want this platform to be something that really changes the way you think about your life or how you approach different things in your life, and different stresses and how you maybe mitigate some of those moving forward as well. For me, I chose to back something off. I basically looked at my list of my to-do list, I suppose, and prioritized it. Like, okay, what do I have to do this week? Well, I have to work. I have to support things at home, whether that's my wife with what she's doing, my son, whatever's going on there. I have to train because that's a big thing in my life right now. And where's Iron Edge fall this week? Okay, Iron Edge is at the bottom of the list. You know what? That's the thing I have to cut to then give myself that little bit of breathing space. And that's what we did. And I believe that we lose sight of the things that are important. Now, I'm not saying take a week off from work and, jack in a job or whatever it may be. But if there's something that you can back off from that's not really going to affect your life, your income, your health, those sort of things, then back off it for a week. If there's something you can just trim a bit of fat of in life and it's not going to affect the project too much. Now, obviously, if this was a business, that was acting daily, I can't just jack this off for a week and not do business operations. But luckily with this right now, at least, I am in a position where I can take a step back and chill a second. So if there's something in your life that you're sitting there and you're super stressed, I'm super stressed about, I don't even know, you're super stressed in general because life is too much. or not too much. I hate saying that. Life shouldn't. I don't think we should ever look at life as too much. Life is something to be enjoyed and celebrated, and you know chased, and all those sort of terms. So I don't want to say life is too much, but if your plate and the responsibilities of everything are getting, if they're stacking up almost, and it's beginning to become a problem of what do I prioritize, what do I put my energy into? Shit, I feel I don't have enough time for X, Y, Z. Where can you trim a little bit of fat? I hate even saying that because it makes it sound as if it's like a not important thing. But where can you pull back something just for, even a couple days? Give yourself some breathing room, chill out a little bit, come back invigorated. With us going to on this vacation next week, I'm actually really looking forward to it because life's felt very full bore for quite a long time now. Um, and I'm just basically trying to put all my effort in this week to make sure that all the stuff for the regular day job is done. That way all our socials are done, or the athlete management I've got that I have to do is done. Any operational stuff is done, and then I can go away. Jump on the flight on Sunday night, and I can truly have a bit of breathing space. Now, obviously, something's going to pop up. Let's be honest about it. But at least I have different things in place in the office where I can take that little bit of a back step for a couple of days. Um, so I really encourage you, if you're in a position in life where you're struggling and life is getting heavy, 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 and you're starting to feel suffocated with all the tasks you have to do, and just all that sort of responsibility, and never feeling that there's not enough time in the day, just look at it like create a priority list. What's priority number one right now? And obviously that changes for everybody. But what's priority number one? What's number two? What's number three? And then start seeing, okay, well, you know what? This task can really wait a couple days. I don't have to do that today, or I don't have to do that this week. Let me wait 5 days and do that then when I've just got some breathing room, and I've sort of recharged my batteries, to put it in those terms again. One thing for me is looking at some of the stuff that I enjoy on the side, whether it's working on the truck, or some of the like the DIY home type of stuff. And sometimes it's really important to get through some of that stuff, and other times it's a case of, okay, I really, really, really want to do this, but I just feel like I'm almost forcing myself to do it. Take a day. If it can wait till next weekend, just fucking wait. Let yourself breathe. Let yourself go and do something. And hey, I'm not saying you have to go and replace that with something else. Sit. Be a lazy piece of shit for a day. And I feel like in this day and age, we all get stuck with this mindset that we always have to be doing something. We always have to be productive. It's not the easiest thing. It's really not, because then if we're so used to being busy and we're so used to being productive, when you take a step back from that and you're like, you know what, I need a day to myself. It's almost like you feel like a piece of crap because you're taking time for yourself and you're not being productive, you're not pushing XYZ forward, or whatever. And it's really not needed at times. And I wonder at times how we get past some of that. For me, there's just days where I need to just chill. Is it the right thing or the wrong thing? I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's just a case of that's human nature. You can run and run and run and keep going and forever, but that's not really true either. Like there's times where I've been extremely productive. I've worked, massive week hours in the week, and to make sure the business grow, or make sure training's on point, and but eventually, like, something has to give. If I really look back on it, when I was pushing hard to grow the business, that's when I stepped back from training somewhat. Back in the day, when I was competing at a high level all the time and training my ass off nonstop, there was no real professional development. When I was in college, sure. But after that, I didn't go into the workforce. I decided at that point in time that I didn't want to go into oil and use my degree in chemical engineering. I didn't want to do these things. I ended up working in a club. I worked security and I was assistant manager of the club, and I did all that sort of stuff. But training was number one. And that was okay for that point in time. There is that balance. So I feel like You know, now that I'm older, I have a lot more irons in the fire and I can balance it a lot better. But at the same time, no one thing can have more focus, if that makes sense. Um, and I think the way to balance it is to be purely focused on that one thing when you're doing it. So if you need to focus on a work or a business thing or a family thing or a training thing, at some point in time, you're going to have to prioritize where can I trim some fat, reclaim a little bit of time, and let myself focus on this while not getting burnt out. That's always been my biggest thing. I think that's why the social media stuff for me always sort of got put in the back burner because I'd be like gung ho, gung ho, gung ho, and I'd want to fucking really crush it. And then when all these other things start stacking a little bit, instead of just pulling back 50% and maybe posting every 2 days instead of every day, I would just say, fuck it. Fuck this. I don't have the time for it. And that's not right either. So figure out where and how you can recharge your battery. If it's a case of, for you to recharge your battery, you are going to sit on the couch and watch movies all day on a Saturday, one day a month, do it. If it's going for a hike, do it. If it's reading a book, whatever. If it is, whatever. I mean, God, there's so many things it could be. But just remember, try to enjoy the days of life. I feel like we all, like I said before in the last episode, we get stuck in this daily rigmarole where it's like every day is the same. And we're just on this hamster wheel. And we don't see the good stuff in life because we're too busy trying to balance it all. And then we get burnt out. And then something drops off. You drop a plate, you're spinning all these plates, you drop one because you just can't keep spinning them all. Whereas maybe you could spin one a little slower and keep it all going at the same time. Really need to get better at sort of organizing my thoughts with some of these things. You know that? Because I feel like I have so much in my mind when it comes to these topics that it's almost like I can't get it out. And I feel like I ramble a lot. So I apologize for that. I'm going to try and be better at that. But that's another thing. It's like for me to try and organize my thoughts better, where am I pulling that time from? So I got to figure out for you guys where I can pull time from to organize my thoughts and provide better value to you all. Just another thing to add to the list. But with that said, if you are feeling overwhelmed in life, don't forget that you can take a step back. You can chill out a little bit and enjoy the processes. Don't jack something off. Don't throw it away just because it's too much in that moment. Step back, take a breath, recharge the battery, regain the energy for it, and then come back and attack it. So that's what I'm doing today. Episode is filmed. We're going to film another one in a couple of days. So you've got more content for next week when I'm gone. But again, I sit down in the chair, I hit the camera on, I feel good about it, and it's not a task. It's not a need to sit and do this. It's a want. And I think if we can all figure out ways to make as many things in our lives a privilege and a want versus a need, then we would all do so much better. So, with that, catch you next time.